Order in the court. Be seated.
It's time for Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt. Todd Marquardt, attorney at law in Texas. If you're a millionaire or a thousandaire, Talk Law Radio is now on the air. Call in with your business law question, your elder law question, veteran aid, Medicaid, build a business to get paid. 210-308-8867. Or ask a question online at marquardtlawfirm.com. That's MARQUARDT lawfirm.com. And now it's Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt. On the radio, on podcasts, on Facebook Live, on YouTube, and on talklawradio.com. Today we have a very special guest, Andrew Alexander, and my guest co-host, Shannon Salmon-Haas, a lawyer that graduated from St. Mary's with me. So we're going to be talking about trade, federal trade, and customs and import law with Andrew Alexander. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you both for having me.
So before we get started talking about that, I want to remind you a little bit about the show. The mission of Talk Law Radio is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots by listening to me talk about the law on the radio.
I'm laughing because when you say you, I think T-O-double-D.
We were talking off camera about one of my nicknames, and Shannon laughed hysterically about that.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. You do
yeah,
rock that
thank
mic
you.
like T-O-double-D.
Well, let's pray so that the Lord will bless our efforts today. Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for all the gifts and blessings that you give to us. Please forgive us for our sins, for our mistakes, for doing the wrong thing or failing to follow your will. Please help Shannon and me and Andrew Alexander give good information to the listeners today about customs and import law. Help us to do everything we do for the good of your people, for our own good and for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, so Andrew, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up? Where did you go to school?
Sure. I grew up on the U.S.-Mexico border, like Shannon over here. It's nice to have somebody from the region to kind of help understand certain cultural issues. I have a Bachelor of Arts from Brown University. I graduated in 2015. I worked in the nonprofit sector in New York City, as well as some marketing jobs there. I was working in the nonprofit sector to promote culture, international culture primarily. So, dealing with a lot of the same things I'm dealing with now in my family business, Grupo Alexander. We are a full-service trade compliance and logistics company. I joined in 2020, and we help our customers navigate issues, trade issues, and trade business between not only the United States and Mexico, but the United States and the world.
Wow, you have all that down pat. You have a very good elevator speech there. Good job.
I'll save that soundbite for the future.
Yeah, you should. Let's unpack some of that your company does.
Sure.
You break that up into 3 segments, don't you?
Absolutely.
Tell us about that.
So I would say the first and most important segment is my customs brokerage licensure that I received in 2022. That was kind of a pivot point in the business. We went from a distributor and a logistics arranger to becoming basically what you could call a forwarding company. And so people...
What does that mean?
A forwarder is somebody that gets a trade problem or a supply chain portion, and they're able to forward the different components, for example, transportation, warehousing, distribution, you can rely on other vendors to do those. And then you, as the customs broker, you're advising them on all of the complexities, whether they be legal, whether they be practical, like, use this route instead of the other route because you'll save money, or there's trade benefits, there's certain trade programs associated with this route. And, so you're kind of the go-to for businesses that are looking to engage in trade. And so I would say that component is first at the moment. And then, you have warehousing space, so you have an asset. Our warehousing space is also a bonded space, so it's a free trade zone. That comes with certain benefits, like if you're just moving material through the United States for logistics purposes, you don't have to pay, and you're just exporting it to Mexico. Let's say you wouldn't pay a tariff or a processing fee for that merchandise because it's not entering the commerce of the United States. And then the third component is transportation arrangement, whether that be via truck, rail, or ocean, or air in some cases.
I, as a lawyer, I got a referral from an accountant for a trucker who was having some trouble with his boss. And I stumbled into all these issues that truckers have with being like, are they an employee? Are they a 1099? Mm-hmm. And then I met a very successful trucker, and so I was trying to refer my trucking clients to that guy because he had it all figured out. But it's an interesting trade. It's an interesting area of industry.
Absolutely.
The trucking. So your warehouse has how many square feet of space?
I would say 200,000 square feet of space. But
it's not really to store things for a long period of time. Things are moving in and out all the time.
Absolutely. And, it's a market much like this. We're primarily dealing with non-ferrous metals, so those are being traded, and there's a price that changes daily based on what the London Metals Exchange says. So you have periods where people are storing for longer, and then you have periods where people are purely moving things through, and that could be like a truck arriving from Mexico. That person isn't licensed, or they don't have the capability to continue that route, so then they're going to put it on an American's company's asset and continue the route. So there's a lot of different scenarios that appear, but being a free trade zone, if you buy material at a low price and you want to store it until you can sell it when the market gets really high, that's something that we could offer.
Okay.
With metals, the demand is always there, so you're not having a big buildup of inventory.
Well, let me take a minute to introduce Shannon so that you can introduce yourself and remind the listeners that you've been on the show before talking about immigration and criminal defense things. What do you want the listeners to know about you today?
Oh, gosh. That I'm super, super happy to be here, I guess, is one thing.
You're very passionate about the border area also.
I am, and I had a question that was in my mind.
Go ahead. Yeah, please.
I wondered if, because I'm just soaking it all in, I agree with Todd completely that I love how you present yourself. You have your elevator speech down, but it's authentic. It's not like it's a speech you created and it's just, I'm hanging on your every word. But I had a question while you were talking. The border culture, if you grew up in that, do you think it affects how you do business? Does it
1,000%.
Like, what is it like? And
I think it's, I always think back to this comment that I heard, and I think it's at the core of not only my being but also my business practice, is that people from the border, whether no matter what your cultural background is, in the United States, you always have to prove how American you are. And in Mexico, if you have family in Mexico or you're from Mexico, you always have to kind of fit and prove how Mexican you are to those people. So I think that adaptability is a huge component.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about some hidden legal issue blind spots in trade and customs and importing things. And Shannon will give us some more insight on how that all affects border culture. So stay tuned.
Great.
Secure your future today with Marquardt Law Firm. Gain peace of mind with a free consultation, crafting wills, trusts, and vital estate plans, guidance on elder law, Medicaid, veteran benefits, and more. Shield against legal hassles with their defense against Medicaid estate recovery. Trust in their proficiency for business law solutions, contracts, incorporations, and more. Empower your tomorrow. For info, go to marquardtlawfirm.com. That's marquardtlawfirm.com.
9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt, on the radio, on podcasts everywhere, on Facebook Live, on YouTube. By the way, you could do me a huge favor. Go to YouTube and search for Talk Law Radio and look for the Lady Justice logo in the red, white, and blue colors and click subscribe.
Smash that button, yo.
Okay, before the break, we were introduced to Andrew Alexander, our special guest, and guest co-host Shannon Salmon-Haas, who practices immigration law and also criminal defense and family law. What types of clients are you looking for these days?
Well, to tell you the truth, I'm toning it down a little bit. So I'm only helping people that are existing, people that I have a relationship. I've been in it so long that I'll have like whole families where everybody knows me. I'm kind of their family lawyer. So I'm not accepting new clients, really.
Oh, okay.
What was that word you used? Your database, or I love how younger people speak.
Your network or your intellectual property, your framework?
Bandwidth. So I'm at the edge of my bandwidth,
Okay.
and it's kind of a good place to be.
That's awesome.
It's a great place to be, I would say.
Make time for your influencer.
Yes, that's what I want. You asked me earlier what I wanted. Yeah, I want everyone to go follow me on Instagram. I don't know why.
How can they find you?
Shannon Roberta San Antonio on Instagram.
Okay.
If you like cheesy, cringy reels, you found your home.
Formerly La Shy Girl.
You
could change your handle to that.
Oh, that would be fun.
One quick quip.
Yeah. Or a new hashtag.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's start talking about the law. You have a specific license.
Yes.
What was it like for you to get that? How did you said that you got that license, but you really had to earn it, didn't you?
Yeah, so the basic requirements are that you're a person of good moral character, which is determined through a series of background checks and some of your financial profile. They want to see that you don't have anything outstanding. I think especially in relationship to taxes and such. You have to study the Code of Federal Regulations, the Harmonized Tariff Schedule, which is, I don't know anybody that's ever read that from cover to cover because it classifies every single item that's ever come into American commerce.
Wow.
Yeah. It's an open book test, but it requires a lot of familiarity with and also interpretation of federal law. And they offer 2 tests a year. And basically what you're doing is you're working in tandem with U.S. Customs to kind of be their eyes and ears and preliminary person that is examining merchandise and understanding trade. And then they'll step in if they see any issues. And then, of course, if there's a larger issue, it hits the federal, other federal entities. And
you can get in trouble if you
absolutely.
make a mistake.
Yeah, it's as lawyers, I tell people, or people have told me, but now I tell people even more so, that it's almost like getting married to somebody, because companies have to give me power of attorney to transact customs business on their behalf.
Wow. That's like old school lawyering when,
for sure.
when
Right.
they gave you the POA,
Yep.
Wow.
And that's what I read, is that from a customs lawyer that said that customs brokers really act as a lawyer for that specific subject for their clients.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I would agree. And I would say that we also act, we're business people, but we're also, translating laws. And in an international sphere, Shannon, I'm sure you experience this all the time. I'm translating the laws of maybe Mexico or Taiwan, and also translating American laws back to those people.
Oh,
so
you must be so tired at night. There must be smoke coming out of your ears.
I'm sure you're also pretty tired. Both of you guys are tired at night. But that linguistic component
Yes.
is also can differentiate you from other customs brokers.
But fascinating, though, right?
Yes.
All the differences.
Yes,
I don't want to
absolutely.
jump ahead, but you're going to ask him why he got into this, I'm sure.
Oh, that is a good question.
You know what I mean?
Because
So-
you did make a big jump from arts and philanthropy to this import business. So tell us a little bit about that decision.
Yeah, I think it was obviously a natural decision. My family's been in the industry for over 30 years. And I think when, people think that arts and culture are not related to something like this, like a logistics network, basically, what we're building every day. If you go to an exhibition, if you go to a museum, if you visit a foundation, a lot of those artworks, those objects, they've gone through many logistics networks.
Wow.
They travel all over the world. Some of them are not facing the same issues that merchandise that's entering commerce or that's being transformed by a certain company or country. And so I think I saw a lot of issues and headaches and also opportunities, and that's kind of what inspired me to not only just remain a logistics network, but also to add that customs component, because I think in the future it's not just trading commodities. I think it's also, culture. There's a huge need for support within customs trade and also,
Beautiful.
legally.
As the world is getting flatter, as
Absolutely.
we're getting more and more connected.
Yes.
I'm picturing you, like I can just go to a museum and enjoy something. I picture you looking at it and like that scene from The Matrix is going through your head, like everything it took to get it here,
Yeah, I'm like, did somebody smuggle this in, because it's like a never before seen artwork from, North Korea, which I have not seen, but, that's something that's funny to think about. And I also think that you start to see a lot of these, there's consulates and there's government entities across the world that are also, checking in on these things. And so it's a big system and it's an interesting one, I think. And just like, people, you say you go to a museum, and what I think, I also look at this water bottle and I'm like, where did that plastic come from? Where's that water from?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I would like to quench a little thirst right now.
Yeah. Don't open that can of worms just yet, but I might have opened it a bit for you. But, people think that this industry, or they don't think, but sometimes they're like, I don't understand what you're talking about, or this isn't interesting, right? In arts and culture, you can talk to people and they instantly want to, know what you do, and it's so fascinating.
Yeah.
But, what we do, it's a part of every day. Everything in this studio, this building, all the materials, the clothes that we're wearing, the people that we meet, they've all come from somewhere else,
Wow.
Unless you go to the origin, there's been several transactions there, right?
So interesting.
It is. So one of the hidden legal issue blind spots, I think, is the complexity of it.
Yes.
But also how quickly things can change.
Absolutely.
So tell us about how you navigate that, or what do you want the public to know there?
I think, so what you said, Todd, you mentioned this earlier before we were on air, there are things like executive orders that can change an existing supply chain overnight. There are things like, legislative enactments that perhaps people are not really engaging with because it's hard to engage with legislation. Sometimes it's a lot to read. I think recognizing the patterns, finding patterns that are appearing in the economy and in trade between certain countries as well, then you start to prepare clients for what could come. Like if people have found some loophole that nobody's been aware of, right, for years, perhaps the government's going to want a piece of that eventually, because, it's their right to protect their interests. And, we as Americans and as somebody that's associated with a federal agency is to protect those interests as well, even if I'm benefiting from international trade. This
so
comes
one
first.
of those protections was the executive order that President Biden signed. I think it was 2017 about aluminum.
Yes.
It was. I don't know how that was to protect the country, but it affected the trade of aluminum.
Absolutely. I think one of the things you can see within the last couple of years is that there's a repositioning of who our biggest trade partners are. Mexico's always been one, obviously, but there's been a prolific rise in that standing. And I don't want to quote a statistic, but I believe that they might be our number one trade partner right now. So basically what you have with aluminum, for example, which is a commodity that we handle, and we have a lot of years of experience handling it, you have other countries that don't have the same infrastructure that we do in regards to recycling and things like that. And basically, China could source as much aluminum as they want and send it over here and basically benefit from, if a country doesn't have a recycling infrastructure, and you sell cans to somebody, I mean, that's pretty much 100% profit minus the labor that you deploy to get those cans together. And so, there's a 10% tariff. So what happened is you saw aluminum at the Port of Los Angeles, you saw it at the Port of New York, Miami, et cetera. Now, it would come to us and then it would get distributed to wherever it needed to go. Now you're seeing people sending material, aluminum, to Mexico, and there's this nearshoring phenomenon that is creating jobs, manufacturing. If they transform that material, that raw material in Mexico, and then it becomes a part made in Mexico, it's going to get stamped as a Mexican-made product. I know Vietnam is having this phenomenon as well at the same time. So
other countries send raw materials to Vietnam, and Vietnam changes it in some way.
Exactly.
And then that becomes the country of origin.
Exactly. So I would say that that's kind of how an executive order could shift a supply chain overnight. And you have to tell all your customers, don't send things to LA or New York anymore. You're going to have to send them, to a port in Mexico. And not only that, have a factory there to transform it so that we can avoid tariffs at the end of the day.
Interesting. Tell us also about the trade war with China. How does that affect your business and industry?
Yeah, I think people think of a trade war as something that's sinister or whatever. I just see it as, a bunch of loopholes that people are trying to understand. I think what pushing, things out of China directly with the U.S. or breaking that chain has only benefited other countries like Mexico or Vietnam, and you've created jobs there. You've created maybe somewhat of a middle class, you could say, where one didn't exist before. And then we're also benefiting from that because they're our allies. We're trading with them. And then on a domestic level, we're benefiting from that, whether it be through consumption or jobs or machinery that's created. So I think that trade war is interesting because while a war might seem like something violent or something negative,
but it's not hurting China because they're still getting to sell those materials to those other countries.
There's a loophole.
Well, we got to take another break. When we come back, we'll be talking about sinners and saints and legacy, so stay tuned. Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here with Andrew Alexander and Shannon Salmon-Haas. We've been talking about import law and customs, and we're going to talk about sinners and saints because this is the third segment. You remember that song?
I've never heard it before.
No? You're kidding.
I'm being sarcastic.
Oh, I thought he was going to say he wasn't born yet.
Well, no, he was
We're old,
probably
Todd.
born, but that was in the 90s, I think.
Yeah.
So it's a good song because it talks about sinners and saints. You know, we all make mistakes, and sometimes we do good things for people, so we can be sinners and saints at the same time. And we're going to talk about some allegations against people. That doesn't mean that it's proven that they did anything wrong, so I don't want them to get upset that we're mentioning that there's allegations against them. But being on the border, you hear a lot of news about Border Patrol probably and immigration.
Sensationalized news.
Oh, okay. Well, tell us about that.
Do you agree, Shannon? I think some of the border news is a bit sensationalized.
I have to agree with that. I've got several examples of that. Yeah.
Right, but you admitted last time we were on the radio, or one time, that seeing the flood of people, you know,
that is a
on
shocking
camera,
image.
it
There's
is
no
a shocking
denying
image.
that. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So what would you say is sensationalized?
Well, I think proximity to Mexico, the fact that, you know, a lot of these towns are far from other big cosmopolitan centers or knowledge centers, you know, I don't want to say knowledge centers, I would say like other places where there's a lot of communication between citizens of the United States. You know, everybody's like, oh, it's so dangerous, you know, or it's associated with cartels or, you know, violence. And that exists, but I think that, you know, it's overdone by the media. And I think that sensationalism has kind of neglected the area a bit too. Like people don't want to touch it sometimes because it has these bad associations.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I hear that when I talk to people I know. They say, I don't go to the border. It's dangerous there.
Well, maybe that's why border culture can just exist in its own little bubble, you know, its own little thing, because people aren't, you know, because we're being flooded here in San Antonio with new people, new ideas, and maybe that's part of what keeps it.
Yeah.
Well, and the news likes to talk more about bad news than good news.
Absolutely. And I think that the bad news that you see, you know, obviously you guys know nobody is above the law. So, you know, there can be people within federal agencies, elected officials, who are conducting themselves in a way that, you know, is not, it's not legal. And, you know, that's when you start to kind of deconstruct those positions or these scenarios that you encounter, right? And I think that isolation that Shannon mentioned, like, oh, you know, it kind of exists on its own. Sometimes people within those bubbles think, oh, you know, I can get away with this because nobody's paying attention.
Oh, I'm so-and-so in this, you know, community, you know, I'm above the law.
Yeah.
Maybe they would think, that would.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the situation that we're talking about specifically is where there was a private company that hosted some entertaining events that allegedly Border Patrol officials went to.
Yes.
And there's another import company that's being investigated, and there's a tequila company that's being investigated.
Mm-hmm.
And so the law around that is probably that if you work for Border Patrol, you're not supposed to, I don't know,
Accept gifts.
Accept gifts,
Yeah.
yes.
I think it's gifts, travel, anything leisure related. It's kind of like a state official, right? You know, like the president or, you know, maybe a senator couldn't accept certain gifts.
Supreme Court justice.
Supreme Court justices as well. And so, you know, that's a violation. But I think that those things do happen in the world. But I think when you're attaching it to an import or when you're attaching it to commerce, that's when people start to become more aware. They take a more vested interest in the situation because, you know, maybe there's a legislative enactment that's going to happen in the future that these people know about, and they wanted to be the first ones there, and they kind of took a step forward. But I imagine that it was probably some kind of brainstorming event for a public-private partnership that, you know, not up to me. I guess it's up to the law and federal institutions to determine if that's something that could exist.
Yeah, I think that there's a committee of sorts within Customs and Border Patrol that's supposed to talk to the agents and the staff and everybody about what they're allowed to do or not allowed to do, like an ethics committee. And so I think that's where the investigation's probably starting.
Definitely.
To see if that was wrong for them to meet. And so maybe there's best practices for having a meeting. Maybe not at some guy's ranch.
Or perhaps, you know, don't take photographs and make it seem like it's something frivolous. And you know, if it's a serious matter, you know, it would be discussed in a serious context. I know that, you know, business, but that's business. This is the law, and it's a federal.
Right. So sometimes business people get confused because, you know, business people do like to entertain and have dinners and so they're trying to get some agreement from the government, but maybe that's the wrong setting.
Absolutely. And I think that, you know, when I look at my individual practice, I would never engage with a customs agent or any federal agent in that capacity. It's always a very clear-cut and concise black and white.
So you know that.
Well, yeah, I do. I think most people do, but I think when you get to a certain point, you know, you can be a saint, but then, you know, there's always that, you know, sinner on your shoulder telling you, hey, you know, you've made it this far. Why don't you try and, you know, do something that's never been done before?
Shannon, tell us about why it's important for government officials and officers to be engaged in the community.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's on a higher level, like if you think about a local beat cop, he's going to want to be a trusted member of that community. So that's something that people in law enforcement have known for, you know, decades, probably even generations now, ever since our country started. You know, you're going to have a trust within the community. It's just good policy. It's just logical. It's rational. So you can do your job better. And I wanted to give a little shout out to Border Patrol, not that they care what I think, but I mean, they're amazing people, you know, and they're doing an amazing job. As part of that story that you're talking about, I saw that because of the fallout from that, they had to cancel their centennial party that they had coming up. And that's such a shame that they're here serving our country. And I mean, we sleep safe at night. We are not being overrun with immigrants. So they're doing a really great job. And then they didn't because of the way they thought things looked bad from that story, they had to cancel their shindig that
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah.
they were entitled. They worked 100 years to get to that
Yeah.
point.
That's why
you know?
we can't have nice things.
And thank you. That's what I was trying to say.
I'm not inside of the agency, so I don't know, but I imagine that a shindig like that is rare to come, right? Because
Yes.
you're always called to duty every single day.
Yeah.
Right?
And they're, being on the border, that they're one of the largest employers in that area.
Absolutely.
They come to the universities, they recruit recent college graduates, so they have, in general, an excellent reputation. And you'll notice you have not seen a lot of stories like this where there was some kind of a allegation of some kind of, we
Right.
need to investigate what's going on here.
Yes.
You just do not hear that. Think
Not
of
very
another
often.
instance, and they're working directly with people every day in some of the
Absolutely.
toughest circumstances, and they're obviously doing something right, because this is the first little smoke where people
Right.
are wondering, is there a fire here? What's going on?
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting that you say that because, if you look anywhere, politically, immigration is a hot button
Right,
issue. And
right.
I think it always is. But,
Yeah.
It's like that, if that's such an issue, and then this is going on, it's interesting to look at that, right? Because you would think like, oh, there's allegations that these people serving the country aren't doing their job, they're not serving, they're not being called to duty. But then it's like at the same time, they're also engaging in, so it's like maybe everything is great and it is under control and they had time to go, enjoy themselves, which is interesting to think about.
Right. There is a little bit of an attitude right now. I hope I'm not saying too much, but there's kind of an eat the rich attitude going on where
Definitely.
people are kind of looking sometimes for things that aren't even there.
Right.
So they see that image and they say, oh, that's how the world works.
Yeah,
they're
that
getting
very well
bribes,
could be.
this.
Yeah, not even a big problem. Well, I do want to talk about the hot Cheetos, so stay tuned. It's going to be great.
Secure your future today with Marquardt Law Firm. Gain peace of mind with a free consultation, crafting wills, trusts, and vital estate plans, guidance on elder law, Medicaid, veteran benefits, and more. Shield against legal hassles with their defense against Medicaid estate recovery. Trust in their proficiency for business law solutions, contracts, incorporations, and more. Empower your tomorrow. For info, go to marquardtlawfirm.com. That's marquardtlawfirm.com.
9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt, and this is the fourth segment. We're going to talk about legacy because Marquardt Law Firm focuses on last wills, living trusts, and tax-protected inheritance plans.
And now, it's time for the Talk Law Radio Legacy Spotlight. What's your legacy? Sponsored by Marquardt Law Firm.
Before we talk about legacy, I do want to talk about hot Cheetos. So go ahead, ask your question, Shannon.
Well, you were talking so eloquently and so professionally, all these big words. You're obviously super intelligent and educated. I have to confess that my brain was on hot Cheetos.
Don't worry. I also, I get it. Yeah. I'm from Laredo.
So
it's
down
like
to
hot
earth.
Cheetos are like, it's like gold, basically.
Right.
It's like a currency.
So is it true? I agree. I concur.
The question is there a shortage of hot Cheetos in Mexico?
Well, I think there's different hot Cheetos that are made in Mexico, and perhaps the recipe that we have here that's, FDA approved or whatever, it might be better by general consensus.
Oh, well, that very well could be.
I agree. That's my personal opinion.
Because
that's one opinion I'll put on air.
Okay.
The American hot Cheetos.
In
are
Europe,
the best.
they
Okay.
have different cigarettes.
Yeah.
And so when I was traveling with St. Mary's over in Austria.
I cannot even imagine you smoking, Todd. Like, My brain does not have a space for that.
I'll just let you know that the cigarettes there
We're ruining
are
your day
different
off.
than they are here. So Pepsi is also a thing in Mexico.
Yes.
My mom would buy the Pepsi that was from Mexico because she wanted something with real sugar and not corn syrup. Mm-hmm. And so that's is that true? Do you know how they make Pepsi?
But there's a rumor.
I can't give the recipe away on air, but
there's a rumor that the Coke, I mean, I will pay more for Coke if I think it's from Mexico, like the glass bottle.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then there's a rumor that it's not really from Mexico. So I've been defrauded all this time.
Well, it goes back to that whole country of origin.
Yeah, and Mexican Coke became like a hipster, white hipster thing.
Yeah, it's big.
It's like people at restaurants, like $12 tacos, a taco
Right,
shop
right,
selling
right.
$12 tacos. They're like, oh, I want a Mexican Coke. And it was like this distinction. But when you go to Europe, you're not like, can I have an Italian Pepsi? You know what I mean? So that's funny. I imagine that, the recipe in Mexico, Coca-Cola is one company. So whatever recipe they're using in Mexico, I don't know because I don't know what their supply chain looks like, but I imagine that.
Well, you need to get into that.
Great. Yeah. Well, if anyone from Coca-Cola is interested in that portion, I'm happy to examine it for them.
But you've tasted both hot Cheetos from here and there.
Yes. Well, I like them so much that I would eat either one, but the American ones they have a certain thing.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and
you heard it here.
Yeah.
Shannon and I are trying to get the guy that invented hot Cheetos on the show.
Allegedly.
That would be great.
Invented.
Well,
Eva Longoria said that didn't she make a documentary about him, or she tried to, or something?
we
like
need
that.
to find that too.
Yeah,
it's a movie. Yeah,
it's a movie. Yeah, so there's
Okay.
It's a great story. I've heard.
Well, maybe that's why he hasn't returned my LinkedIn message, because he's so popular because of his movie.
He was at dinner at Eva Longoria's house.
Yeah. No, but Shannon, I think it's funny that we're talking about the border and other places. Like hot Cheetos on the border. I mean, it's like the number one. I mean, it's like you get papers and like they have the red fingerprints on them. People at schools and office. Mm-hmm. But like in other places, people are like, oh, these are really spicy, or like I'm afraid of these.
I was at Ingram Park Mall. I saw a lady feeding hot Cheetos with cheese to her baby, like a tiny baby. It couldn't.
Start
the baby
them young.
couldn't walk.
Yeah.
Well, in New Mexico, we have hot green chili there, and
oh yeah,
same thing. I mean, babies will eat green chili.
Yeah, you kind of get them into it's a go-to. Hot Cheetos with cheese is definitely like the number one concession stand item on the border.
Did you know I invented that? I'm currently in litigation against every taqueria in town.
Because you were the first one to
I'm
put
the first
cheese
one to
on it.
combine nacho cheese with a hot Cheeto in 1980.
All these people, working these little, operations. That you need a piece of that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, well, seriously, let's talk about your legacy. What do you want people to remember you by? Do you have anything special that you've inherited, or some value that you've learned from an older person that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think in terms of legacy, I don't think of things like assets or money. I see things more like what we were talking about earlier, our duty and what we can build and leave behind for other people to understand, frameworks, creating intellectual property that has never existed before your knowledge. I hope I can do that in the context of trade, but also, for the community, for foreign relations with the United States. I think through business you can do that, much like, you guys as lawyers engage with your community every day in specific contexts. Todd, I know you focus a lot on people that, families and people that own businesses. And Shannon, I think...
And you take your time. You're not in a rush. Like, that's one of his really good qualities.
Absolutely.
I love the way he's just so methodical in the way he approaches helping people.
Absolutely.
And you said civic spark, and I had
Yes.
never heard that before. I don't know if you invented that in your brain, but
I
I
wish.
love it.
No, I wish. I felt the civic spark, and I'm glad that I learned about it. I was watching a conversation between Justices Sotomayor and Justice Coney Barrett, and the venue that they were at was talking about a civic spark, and that's this feeling or this urge that you get to engage with your community outside of what you do to make a living, outside of maybe your own, existence online or whatever. And I thought that was fascinating.
I love it.
I started to feel that too, because it's like the hierarchy of needs.
Absolutely.
By the psychologist.
It is like
Maslow.
that. Yeah.
Right. And so you get to the top when your bills are paid and you think, well, now what do I do? Mm-hmm. And so...
but not what I do, like I'm bored, but like that obligation. That if people that were raised a certain way, your family instilled in you, you're here to help. You're here to leave this place better than you found it.
Absolutely.
And it's that drive.
Absolutely.
To give back.
And I think another interesting way to look at it is when you get to the top, at the bottom rungs of that hierarchy, there's other people there with you and they're figuring it out. But once you reach the top of whatever it may be, whether it's financial success, business success, if you're a museum director, that has made it to the top, you now have the opportunity to have a blank canvas. And, what do you do with that blank canvas? Do you just donate money? Do you go volunteer your time? Or do you go build something else that's never existed before?
I've heard it called space or margin.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, there's a higher margin there.
So, Shannon, tell us something about legacy in your life. What do you want people to remember you by, or what lessons have you learned from those that have gone before you?
I would really love for people to say that I treated people well. That's one of the biggest compliments I ever get. And just how you treat people, for some reason, my life experience and all the mistakes I've made and, probably still am currently making because I'm a human person, but the way you treat people at the end of the day. Because I was just telling my son a story about a guy who treated me poorly 40 years ago, and I remember it. It's how you make somebody feel.
Absolutely.
You can have fancy awards on the wall and do all this stuff, but how I made you feel when I interacted.
I'm glad that that's your passion, because I forget to do that.
I don't think you do. I do not think you do.
I just get so busy. I'm already thinking about something else, and so I feel bad when I should have smiled.
But you take your time with people. You're.
Sometimes I do.
I think you help people see areas that they might not see in the black and white, and that takes time. It's not an overnight thing.
Thank you.
Yeah,
exactly.
And treating people well, I couldn't agree more. I think that then translates into your legal practice, as I think it translates into my business practice, and also being on the border. We see people, I see people in crisis all the time, a woman that's made the journey there with her child, and I have nothing but empathy for her. And then
we could talk for hours.
Yeah, I know we could. That's a whole other, show. But I think that translates into, the adaptability component we were talking about earlier, and also your legacy of wanting to treat people right. It's an understanding.
Understanding.
Beyond anything, right?
Yeah.
People do want to be understood.
Yeah, and we have a lot of common humanity, but our modern culture is really separating us. Someone said something, I loved the illusion of unity. Social media gives us this illusion that, okay, we're texting, I just messaged you on Instagram, and it's all an illusion. Like connection is kind of being lost in our society.
Yeah, I think, referring to that point, you have a lot of people who make judgments and create feedback based off of what they see on social media, which could be simply an illusion. A lot of people use it for business and for things. But, it's like, why don't you just call that person and ask how they're doing, what they're up to? If you really care,
True.
Why do you just rely on something that, we don't know if it's real or not?
Yeah, true. Phone call.
Yeah, well, you see a lot of kids nowadays sitting together, each one looking at their phone.
Yeah, it's I don't know how we're going to get past that. Because if I throw my phone out the window, which I want to almost every single day, I'm not, I'll go broke. I mean, I might find my way, but, I need to be talking to people.
I don't know how to get past it either, but I'm convinced it's part of the answer because I asked somebody much smarter than me, what do we do about homelessness, for example? Like just one of the big problems we're facing, people that are unhoused. Well, we used to have such a small community that guy in the village, you would take him some soup. He would probably sleep out in the shed,
Right.
he was... We didn't have these problems because we were a unit. We were community, and we took care of each other.
It was more localized.
Yes,
maybe.
exactly.
Yeah.
I like the way you speak.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Just
well,
go ahead and say everything I'm trying to say. 'Cause you say it better.
No, Shannon, I think you just have so much going on. The work you do is so important, and I think that, we need to continue to do things like this. Todd, thank you for having us today. And thank you, Shannon,
Todd,
for joining me
you're good to do
because
this.
it was awesome to have another border
I
person
hope we get
here.
to talk more.
We will,
I'm thrilled
absolutely.
that we had so much to talk about. We didn't get to everything that I wanted to talk about.
Oh, darn. What did we miss? I hijacked it, didn't I?
Well, there's just so much law involved in trade.
Yeah.
So much.
And so we'll have to have
And
you
trucking,
come
freight
back.
is fascinating.
Yes,
Yeah.
we didn't even get to talk
Well,
about that.
I was going to riff off of what you said. People are like truckers. I'm like, they're kind of the heartbeat of a lot of
Right.
things.
True.
So we'll have you come back, but for now we have to say goodbye.
Oh,
Bye.
Talk to you later.
goodbye.
Thank
Have a great
you.
day.